Hello, 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 and good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Happy Sunday, or if you are watching the replay, happy day. Whatever that day is that you are watching. So glad to have you joining me. I'm Lepore Lindsay, keynote speaker and workshop facilitator. And we every week at 5:30 p.m. on Sunday, we talk about workplace value. So, this is essentially how you can bring value into the workplace. So, essentially, this falls under professional development. How can each individual develop professionally, regardless of where they are in that organizational structure? How can they contribute to the overall team goals, but also being able to feel good about the work that they are contributing and not just doing it for the sake of doing it, but actually feeling proud about the work that they are putting forth. So, and with that, it's only 15 minutes. Every week, it's only 15 minutes. I do have a couple of guests lined up, and I've had a couple of guests in the past. And so when we have guests, typically it goes longer. But if it's just me, yeah, it's only 15 minutes. So if you can just stick with me for 15 minutes, it'll be great. And let me know where you're tuning in from, whether you're catching the replay or catching it live. I love to know where you're tuning in from to understand the perspective of all of the voices. So that being said, y'all, we're going to go ahead and get started. So today, our topic is renaming versus redefining. What real workplace growth looks like. So renaming versus redefining what real workplace growth looks like. That is a tongue twister. Say that 5 times fast, because that it's a tongue twister. So what we're talking about today is, have you ever thought that you've changed something, but then you come to realize, whether through your own exploration of it, or maybe someone else pointed it out, or maybe whatever the case may be, you figured out that you didn't actually change it, but more so you just kind of dressed it up or glossed over it a little bit just to kind of make it look different, but it really wasn't different. So I'm going to share this story, and then I'll go back to tie this back to how this relates to workplace value. So it was a couple of years ago when someone had requested some help with their converting a Word document into a PDF document. And I was like, okay, let me see if I can help them out. And I went and I looked and I was like, walk me through the process. Let me see what you're doing here. Let me see what's going on. And as they were walking me through it, when they went to save the document, they typed in the actual title of the document .pdf. So they didn't change the actual file type. They changed the name to .pdf, but the file type was still a Word document. And I don't remember what my reaction is, but now I kind of have to laugh a little bit, because I myself have done similar things, not that particularly, but other things. And I was at a loss for words. Like, you didn't change the document. And so we had this conversation as far as, you didn't change the document, you changed the name. And these are the steps as far as how you change the document. And it didn't really click until years later, when I started to see either people getting promoted, but their actions weren't changing, or maybe they wanted to get promoted, but their actions weren't changing, or maybe even not changing or working on how they communicated or translated what they do. And so this PDF conversion story from Word doc to a PDF, I feel serves as a really great platform or foundation for when we are redefining versus renaming what we do in our work. So much like this person who was just changing the name of the PDF document instead of actually changing the file type, that's what it's going to take for us in the workplace, for us to be able to contribute to a level that is of value. It's not just about saying that we're going to do something different. No, what are actions that are being taken? What are conversations that are being had? What are steps, strategies, tactics, whatever the case may be that we are doing to improve our focus, to improve our process, to improve the overall presentation of what we're doing. You see, I feel like we get stuck in the performative piece of things. And for those of you who have taken my career, building your career value workshop, you probably know where I'm going with this. But we get stuck in a performative mindset where if it looks good, if it looks busy, if it is something that on surface level is contributing, then I'm just going to stick with that instead of us actually taking the time to be more performant and complete actions that, whether or not they are as visible or whether or not they are as recognized, it still is a really big factor in the overall scope of redefining what we do versus renaming. So, what are some ways to do that? One really great way is to be intentional. And being intentional in this case is about understanding what is that goal, whether it is the mission of the team, of the department, or the organization. What is their overall goal? And then working back from there and figuring out what steps are we taking, or what skills do we have, and how does that work with people on our team. So if your primary role is, let's say, to do reports, given the people that you work with, how can those communications or those interactions, how can that help meet the ultimate department or contribute to the ultimate department or team's goals or team goals versus just saying, I'm contributing? Because just saying that I'm contributing, or even if we get that title change, that doesn't mean anything. What is truly going to help is those that change in actions. And I feel like a part of this as well is the misplaced expectations. It's, I don't want to say it's a lack of understanding, but just so many people already doing the, sorry, someone typed here. Oh, this is good, Annette. So we can control the mindset that lead us day to day. Yes, that is something that we can control. And one of the things even we may even need to change, because if our mindset is that, well, no matter what I do, I'm not being able to contribute to the team, or I'm not creating any impact, or I'm not doing anything that is helpful, then we don't do that. So telling ourselves, number one, yes, that I can make a change for the team, and then taking those follow up actions, researching, exploring, having conversations, figuring out how you can make that happen. But you're so right about the fact of starting out with that mindset. Absolutely. And bridging essentially what of the expectations are, bridging that with what we have available. A lot of times what we think is most valuable or is the biggest contributing factor to, whether it's our team or to our community or whatever the case may be, many times it's not what we think it is. It's not what we think it is. And the only way for us to truly know is to ask. And I know it's scary. I know it's scary to ask. And I'm not going around asking every day, right? But I do ask. And that's probably one of the more scarier things, because you're setting yourself up to people's opinions, you're setting yourself up for people's feedback, and not everybody gives feedback in the most constructive way, but it is an opportunity to gauge perceptions and perspectives and things along those lines. So if you're just tuning in, number one, thank you for tuning in. Even if you're catching the replay, I would love to know where you are tuning in from. Today we're talking about renaming versus redefining. how to the real way in order to increase or to share your workplace growth. I probably butchered that title a little bit, but really what we're talking about here is the difference between when we say we're doing something versus actually making the actual changes in doing something. And I shared a story about a PDF document, and someone was trying to save it as a PDF, but they really weren't. They were just changing the name. And that was where that biggest struggle was. So I'll share this. What are we doing on time? So got a few minutes here, so I'm getting ready to close out. I remember doing a workshop several years ago, and one of the things that I shared with the participants was volunteering. And I shared it because it was an opportunity for them to not just rename what they do, but to actually redefine the types of positions that they have. So even though a lot of them were looking for promotions or different types of titles, I couldn't guarantee that. I couldn't guarantee that they would get it, but I could guarantee that they could get the experience that was necessary. And so that when they apply for future opportunities, they would be able to say, hey, this is something that I did. And y'all, I got so much pushback. I'm not going to be volunteering for this because I don't get paid for that. And I'm not going to be volunteering for this because, that's not something that I want to do. And I'm already doing XYZ. And I completely get that. I do. And I don't have time now to go into all of the ways that I've kind of discovered why I understand, but I do understand. But one person did, and they came back, and one of the things that they shared was it worked. The volunteering worked, and here's why it worked. It worked because number one, they didn't have the pressure to do the job with the pay. And that doesn't mean that they weren't qualified by any means, but they were really nervous, and that gave them a little bit of practice. It also gave them the flexibility to truly just go above and beyond with that project because it was something that was given on volunteer time, and because it wasn't internal that they were volunteering for, it was an outside organization, but because they were doing that, they had a lot of leverage and a lot of leeway to kind of take the project and do whatever they wanted to do with it. Long story short, they had all of the experience that was necessary in their current role, even with volunteering in their current role, to eventually change the title to or get into a new position. Because so many times we look at, well, I want to change the position that I am in, and I understand that. But sometimes you can redefine it first. You don't have to rename it first. Sometimes you can redefine it, and whether it is an internal change that can happen for you or an external change, meaning at a different company, all of that is possible. And it's possible because that focus is still on how do we add value? How do we share that value, whether with the company that we're with or with another organization, even on a volunteer basis, so that we can continue to grow the skills that we have. So, my challenge for you this week is to just think about one thing or one opportunity that you can convert. So Annette mentioned earlier, as far as how can we change, or mention something about the mindset. So that could be one potential. Maybe we're thinking about things a certain way and we need to convert that to something else. Maybe it is our approach to having conversations, informal conversations or formal conversations. Maybe it is going back to the renaming versus redefining, finding opportunities to do the job that we want to do in 2 to 3 years, finding opportunities to do that now. And it's not just about, even though a big part about, even though a big part about it is, improving the organization in the team, the other part about workplace value is also things that are beneficial for you, that are helpful for you, that provide growth opportunities for you. And you don't have to wait for the promotion to make it happen. You can redefine that now. So remember that growth is not just about the title. That's that renaming piece. The growth is also about the actions, and what are we doing in order to transform essentially the opportunities that we have. It's not limited just to a job description. We can go beyond that if we choose to. And that benefit is not just for the company, but it's also something that can benefit you as well. So if something that I said resonated today, let me know whether you want to like the video, send me a message, whatever the case may be, ask a question. I truly do enjoy hearing from you all. So please let me know if you have any additional comments or questions. I don't see any here at this time, but if you have any later, let me know. And I'll see you next Sunday. I'll see you. Yeah, next Sunday, I'll see you. And in a couple of weeks, I'll have a guest that will be joining me, and we'll be talking about a couple of other things as it relates to workplace value. I hope that you all enjoy your week, and I'll see you then. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.